that what we have was ever meant to last. Guess you made a fool of me. You got me confused, a little off balance. Thought I knew you, but you got bad habits. I only see blue when I'm thinking about you, thinking about you. I'm feeling anxious and slowly breaking. Give you my heart, but you keep my waiting. Searching for answers, no explanation. You make love so complicated. I'm feeling anxious and slowly breaking. Give you my heart, but you keep my waiting. Searching for answers, no explanation. You make love so complicated. I'm slowly breaking. You make love so complicated. I'm only seeing blue. You make love so complicated. Why do I still believe? You make love so complicated.
I live my life searching for the light. Been learning to fight through the darkness. I'll get this right. We were born to shine, and we still got time. It's not hopeless. Don't look now. Here comes that awful feeling. My walls are caving in. Heaven help, I can see my ghost on the ceiling. Let me breathe again, 'cause I just wanna live my life. I'm never backing down. I swear I'm gonna fight the good fight. Just wanna get it right. I'm ready for it now. You know I'm gonna fight the good fight. You know I'm gonna fight the good fight. You know I'm gonna fight the good fight. Fight the good fight. You know I'm gonna fight the good fight. Yeah, I've lost my crown, but no, I will not bow. You know I'm here right now for the long run. Yeah, you see me down, but you know I'll never drown. You know I'll get back up on it somehow. Don't look now. Here comes that awful feeling. My walls are caving in. Heaven help, I can see my ghost on the ceiling. Let me breathe again, 'cause I just wanna live my life.
Optimistic beats. Optimistic beats.
Got my Cali booted up, yeah, it's time to hack. Got the IP in scope, now I attack. You likely don't know I wear a black hat. Where's your sequel database? Let me grab that. And all the people in the place saying play that. Even if your password's hashed, I'm gonna crack that. Let me go and pass that back with the fast track. We can think it's slow or fast, I got the hashtag. Even if it doesn't last, I'm gonna grab that. Every kind of persistence and I will come back. Responders gonna listen and I'll get that call back. Someone tell Eminem I'll never fall flat. Cause unlike all of them, I don't sound whack. I can rap, I can hack, yeah, all that. Cause unlike all of them, I don't sound whack. I can rap, I can hack, yeah, all that. Got the Cali booted up in my black hoodie on. Black hoodie on, black hoodie on. Got the Cali booted up in my black hoodie on. Get your terminals up as we listen to the song. Got the Cali booted up in my black hoodie on. Black hoodie on, black hoodie on. Got the Cali booted up in my black hoodie on. Get your terminals up as we listen to the song. This verse is for the career coaches. I really hope it hurts, cause y'all are the real vultures. You're lining up your purse that doesn't fit our culture. You're getting rich off the poor, you're a poser. I told ya, if you're good, you don't need the cash. Now you're gonna feel my wrath. I just want you to see the fact that more than half these acts are just a money trap. So I will trash in raps, I don't want none of that. And I will smash with passion every scummy act. If you react with madness, you can run it back. And if you disagree, your thinking's incomplete, because they're preying on the noobs in our industry. And here's what we can do to bring their misery. We can make them feel accessible for you and me. All the content that we make, we do for free. Boom, and we are live. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my live stream, and hey, super happy to have you hanging out with me. Do want to let you know I am live right now on 3 different platforms, so you can join on whatever platform works best for you. But I am live right now on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn. On LinkedIn and YouTube, you can just find me under my name, Tyler Ramsby. Over on Twitch, you can find me under the name hack_smarter. So twitch.tv/hack_smarter. But yo, super excited to have you here. Have a lot of stuff planned for our stream, but what is up, everyone? Hope you all are doing well. Over on Twitch, we at least have a few people in chat. We got Horizon Summit, Vinny himself. So we have quite a few viewers who haven't jumped in chat yet. But hey, if you're watching, jump in chat. Say hello. Let me know where you're watching from if you don't mind. We got Get Glocked over there now. Awesome. Well, hey, y'all. Good to have you here. Our plan for today is I have a bunch of things I want to go through. Don't know if we'll get through all of them, but we'll go ahead and give it a shot. The first thing I want to do is, if you have not seen all the stuff on LinkedIn, Discord, TryHackMe came out with a really interesting machine called Airplane, which uses LFI to discover a mysterious port. And although usually when I do streams, I do them like me approaching the machine live, I did already do Airplane offline over the weekend. But because it's such a unique machine, I wanted to make a walkthrough video on it and kind of teach through the machine itself. So I think this is what we'll begin our stream with. I also have a Pwn Labs lab that I want to finish up. The lab was slightly broken when I was doing it on stream last week, so I wanted to come back to it, see if it's fixed. And TryHackMe also has a brand new room that came out today on advanced SQL injection, and I know that's a topic a lot of people have been asking me to talk through, so I thought, hey, we can go through that room together. So that's the plan, and also AMA. So if you guys have any questions about ethical hacking, cybersecurity, careers, all that good stuff, feel free to ask them in the comments. I am monitoring the comments on all 3 platforms, although to be clear, for those of you on LinkedIn, for some reason, LinkedIn has this weird live stream bug where I can't see the comments most of the time until after the stream is over. So if you are on LinkedIn and you're asking me a question and I don't respond to you, I'm not ignoring you. It's because LinkedIn needs to like fix their buggy live platform. But if you join me on Twitch or YouTube, I have those comments pulled up. We'll keep my eye on those comments as we work our way through things. Without any further ado, want to make sure everything looks good on stream, which it does. Over on YouTube, we got OP Kevin, we got Eric. What is up, y'all? Good to have you here. All right, let's dive first into the Airplane machine from TryHackMe. I'm going to start recording for YouTube. Oh, can we go through Cato setup quickly? Sure. Kevin, we go through Cato setup real quick. Let me ask you, Kevin, where are you at on the Cato process? Here, I'll just share my screen. Let me log into Cato real quick first. Here, I'll jump back. All right, so Kevin asked us to go through Cato setup really quickly. And if you guys have never heard of Cato, I encourage you to check it out. It's the web proxy I use on all of my live streams. But Cato is a lightweight web security auditing toolkit built from the ground up in Rust, and I like the way it looks. I love the UI. Even on the free edition, there's no rate limiting on Automate. Automate's sort of like the Cato equivalent of Intruder in Burp Suite. And if you use Burp Suite Community Edition, which I know many of you do, the free version of Burp Suite, Intruder's basically useless because of the rate limiting that's there. Well, a free version of Cato, you're not rate limited on any of that stuff. I do have the Pro edition of Cato, which gives a few more features, but the free version of Cato is way better than the free version of Burp Suite. So Kevin, there's a few different ways that you can set up Cato. So we're over at cato.io right now. And if we click download now, there's a few different things you can download. They have the CLI, or the command line interface, which honestly, the name's a little bit misleading there. You're not actually doing stuff in your terminal. It'll still open it up in a port in your web browser. But what I've been using, Kevin, is the desktop app, because that comes with a browser built into it. And actually, let's try to open the app image one. We need the Debian one. Let me go ahead and log in. I think that's how we get to the right ones that I'm at least looking for. I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment. All right, Kevin. So log into Cato, which is where I'm at right now. And when you log into Cato, if you do want the app, or not the app image, the desktop, if you're doing it on Kali, you just want to make sure you get the Debian one, not the app image one. So it's Debian right here. I'm going to go ahead and click that, and it will download it. You see it's a 1 because I've already done this. So I'm not going to fully reinstall it, but I'll show you all the steps. So once we get to this point, we have the file on our machine. We want to open up our terminal, and I'm already in my downloads. And the command, at least in Linux, or Kali Linux, or any Debian-based distro, is sudo dpkg/i for install, and then the Cato desktop Debian file like that. And that should do all the work for you. That should install everything properly for you. Once it's installed, you can hit what I'm doing is my Windows key on my keyboard to pull this up, and I just search for Cato, and I open Cato up. If it's your first time logging in, it might prompt you to authenticate again to cato.io, which is fine. You just authenticate, but then you'll name your instance. Here's just my local instance, and I will click start. And then here we are in Cato. Now, if you do want, actually, I'm going to create a project right now. We'll create it for Airplane real quick. If you want to be able to have the browser that's built in, it uses Chrome, or a Chromium-based browser. So you do have to have Chrome installed on your machine, but if you do have it installed, you just click this browser button right here, and then obviously don't do the recovery one, but Google Chrome, click launch, and it should open up Google Chrome, and this browser is automatically set to proxy through Cato, and then you are good to go. So Kevin, let me know if that's helpful, or if you're stuck on a specific part. I'll wait to see if you have anything to say. Otherwise, we'll jump into Airplane. I'll get a drink, give it a minute, because I know there's a minute delay. You're following along, okay, Kevin? Well, that's about it to it so far, and I'll use it a little bit for this room as well. All right. I'm going to start recording for the standalone video for YouTube, so let me go and start recording. I'm going to give my introduction name. All right, here we go. Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to give you a detailed walkthrough of the new Airplane machine or room on TryHackMe. Now, to be upfront, usually when I go into rooms on TryHackMe or HackTheBox or even Pwn Labs, I go into them completely blind. I don't prep ahead of time, and I share with you my full thought process, my methodology, my frustrations, my successes, my failures. That's generally how I make about 99% of my videos. But I do want to be clear. I did go through Airplane already offline over the weekend. It came out, I think, on Friday, dove into it right away, and I solved it, I think, on Monday. So want to be clear, I have solved this machine already, but there's a few different ways I want to try to solve it today that I haven't done in the past based on some comments I saw on Discord. But overall, I just want to give you a glimpse into this machine because it's a very unique approach. And maybe spoiler alert, but maybe not too much because you're watching a video about the machine. But the initial access is super interesting. There's a web server that's vulnerable to LFI, or local file inclusion, and you have to use local file inclusion to identify the service running on a mystery port on the machine. There's a port that's running, you can see with Nmap, it will say the port is open, but no matter what enumeration scripts you try to throw at this port, nothing comes back. And with the LFI itself, we can't read anything sensitive enough that would give us initial access. Like SSH is on the machine, but the users don't have an ID RSA file or anything like that in their folder. There's an app.py, as well that you can try to read, but there's nothing sensitive there. So I was in this rabbit hole for a very long time. I want to shout out to my friend Nefos. Nefos is the one who solved it before I did and shared with me an initial base script that he used for initial access. I took that script, added some arguments and some threading, and posted that on my GitHub. But do want to just give you a kind of a slow, detailed walkthrough of this room, explain the things that trip me up, the things that I find interesting, and maybe just give some feedback as someone who is a pen tester who does this kind of thing for a living. So just want to say thank you all for being here. Over on Twitch, GitGlock said, thank you for doing that. It's so humbling when you tell people how long it took, rather than watching a 20-minute YouTube video and thinking they can't hack or lack skill because they can do a box in 20 minutes. Yeah, and that's a tough thing with most of the videos you see on YouTube. People are like, hey, here's a walkthrough for this room, and they have all the commands pulled up on their side monitor and they run through it in 20 minutes. But I'll be upfront with you, this room, I started it on Friday. I poked at it a little bit Saturday, and then like I was just completely stuck on LFI, and I was like, I don't see any way to go from LFI to initial access. I even began trying to enumerate the service on that port via LFI, but honestly I stopped because I thought maybe I was in a rabbit hole and didn't feel like wasting my entire weekend on this. So I got completely stuck on this machine on the LFI portion of it until Nefels reached out to me on Discord. So I want to be very clear. This was a tough machine for me. Like, the attack method itself isn't necessarily difficult. It's just I've never seen this on a box, and I've done a bunch of machines. I mean, I've done the OSCP, and I did like 50 or 60 machines leading up to that, and I do them on stream all the time. And this is a super unique initial entry point that I just haven't seen before. So, without any further ado, here is my screen. Here is the machine. I'm not going to show you the flags, but we'll at least go through this full process. So I'm going to grab the IP. We'll jump over to here. I'm going to CD to home, Tyler, try hack me. We'll make a directory for airplane, and we'll CD into airplane, and we'll go ahead and add this to our Etsy host file just so we don't have to remember the IP every time. And we'll call it airplane.thm like that, ping airplane.thm, and it works. And we can go ahead and Rust scan this beast like so, and then we can pass it over to Nmap, but I know Nmap isn't going to find anything interesting anyways. So right away, these are the 3 ports that we have open. All right, these are the only ports we have open. We have SSH open on port 22. We have this mysterious service open on port 6048. And no matter what you do with Nmap or Rust scan or whatever you want, it's not going to be able to enumerate the service on this port. It just says open, but doesn't give you any information on how you can get into it. And then we have port 8000, which once it finally finishes, it's a Flask web app, if my memory serves me correct. So we can go ahead and look at that. If we go over out to airplane.thm 8000. We see this. Now, I thought I was killing it when I first started this machine because I got LFI in it like in 5 minutes. I immediately saw the LFI entry point, and the giveaway here is that it says page, and it's pulling down a page from some other directory. And as you do more CTFs, more pen testing, I mean, this parameter right here is just a dead giveaway that this is going to be vulnerable to LFI or local file inclusion. And there's not even anything special you really have to do. We can just jump out of our current directory a little bit, do Etsy password, and I think that will work, maybe. Apparently it's an insecure file. And there it is, right? There's the Etsy password file. We can see Hudson, Carlos, all that stuff. And we can go ahead and do that in Kato, just so we can get this a little nicer. So let me do that. Let me open up Kato. We will turn on intercept and go there. Jump over to Kato, send that over to replay. And there we go. We do have Etsy password. So this was like, I was like, man, I'm going to get first blood on this machine. And then I was stuck here forever. But I do want to show you another way. If you didn't know, like if you didn't try it this way, you can also fuzz for this. So we can just change this back to index.html. We'll hit send. And there's our index.html. Now, if you want to fuzz for this in Kato, the nice thing, once again, is unlike Burp Suite Community Edition, you're not rate limited on what they call automate. I'm going to go ahead and turn off intercept here. Automate is sort of like Kato's equivalent of intruder. So we can do Control-M, and that sends us over to automate. And then we just need to mark our entry point. So we can say, hey, here's the page that we want to mark. And now we need to grab I don't think I have one here. Oh, I do. So I have an LFI list right here, I think from a previous machine I did. But if you do not have an LFI list included here, super simple, download a list. Like if you go out to Google and just type GitHub LFI, I think Jadix was the one that I used here in SecList. You can just download this locally to your machine. And then within Cato, if you go down to files here, you just browse and you upload the file, and then you can use it and automate attacks. You can also switch it over to a simple list and copy and paste here. But for those larger files, by and far, you want to actually upload the file and do it that way. So we'll go over to hosted file. I'll change this to my LFI list right here. Preprocessors, we don't have to worry about anything. Settings, we can like yellow this beast and give it like 50 workers if my numlock would turn on. And this would be another way that you'd be able to fuzz and discover this LFI. So let's just give this a shot and see how long it goes. Should go pretty quickly. Once again, if you're doing the equivalent Burp Suite Community Edition, you're probably at request number 10 because of the rate limiting. But look, we just did 900 requests, and what was that? 5 seconds maybe. And if we sort this by length, you can see that when we sort it by length, we have all of these that are giving us etc password. So very quickly, if we didn't discover it manually, you could also find it this way as well. And here's even the etc host file on the remote machine, just showing that LFI is possible. Can you grep for a reply? Do you mean like in Burp Suite you can actually set it and not control F, but you can grep for it in Burp Suite? It might be possible in Cato. I'm just not entirely sure, to be honest with you. That isn't really, it doesn't do anything that we want. I'm not sure. If not, we should do that as a feature request. Cato devs are super responsive. I think I know what you're talking about, GitGlock, because I use it on Burp Suite when I look, for example, I want to see, let's say, response in the response. I can actually flag it so all the ones that have that in the response, it comes up, or root or something. I don't know how to do that in Cato. Don't know if it's possible, but I think I know what you're talking about. But let's jump back over to replay. We know that we have file read here. So here is my initial thought process. I saw Hudson and I saw Carlos, right? And I knew SSH is alive on the machine. And usually when SSH is alive, at least maybe we have access to one of those folders and we can read their private key. So here's what I tried initially, right away. I was like, sweet, I'm gonna get initial access to this machine, no problem. This would work on like most of the CTF. So if we start with Carlos, we can do home, Carlos, SSH, ID, RSA. All right? And I was like, what? Page not found. Are you joking me? And, oh, did I lose my etc password? Well, the other person's Hudson, so let me just jump over to Hudson. Like that. And same thing. I'm not getting anything. Who's texting me? Oh, it's Google Photos texting me. Thanks, Google Photos. Appreciate the message. So there's that. Nothing there. But the other thing I discovered is if we back out one directory, we can read app.py. I think it's one directory. I'm going off memory. Yes. So here's app.py as a Flask app. And sometimes in different CTFs or even the real world, if you can read app.py, you'll be able to get to some sensitive information. There might be a secret here that's used to sign cookies or something along those lines. But in this app.py, it doesn't really tell us anything interesting. We do see the vulnerable code here, right? Where we're pulling out the page, it's trying to get it from the static folder, but nothing is stopping the user from escaping that static folder and kind of exploring the file system. So that's when I was like, okay, interesting. The closest I really got, well, I started doing some, I'll call it GPTing, because I was outside of my element. Let me just make sure I'm back to etc password. I'm back there. So then I was really confused. I was like, who am I, right? So self proc in environ. I think this is the syntax. I might have that wrong. Nope. Is it proc self environ? I always get this switched around. Okay, so when we do that, we can see what are we running these commands as? What user are we doing? And when I did this, I could see right away we're running these commands as the user Hudson. So then I was like, okay, if I'm Hudson and Hudson has a folder in home, I was like, how can I at least get user.txt, right? Hudson, like that. And no, you cannot get user.txt because that's not where it is located, even though we are running all of this stuff as Hudson, right? So this is where I was kind of lost. This is when I went down the deep rabbit hole where I was trying to brute force PIDs, which is actually one of the ways to do this. And I eventually found a service that was running once again with Nefo's help. But this is where I was stuck at. I was like, how do I get initial? I have LFI. How do I not have initial access to the machine? Oh, Neffel is here. Didn't realize you were streaming as a message only just arrived. Well, sweet Neffels, welcome, my friend. Have shouted you out a couple of times. I'm just showcasing the airplane machine and my methodology and why I honestly got stuck on it. Looking over at YouTube, Poplu said, I was trying this yesterday, gave up hope after 3 hours. Hey, it's all part of the game, my friend. I gave up hope as well, so it's all good. Atomic Samurai said, I had a lot of libraries issues while trying to install Kato on Kali Linux. Does Tyler have experience with that? I don't have any experience with that, but the Kato developers are super responsive. There's probably some weird app thing that some libraries that are out of date. You need to update stuff. It could be a lot of things, but the Kato developers are super responsive. If you just go to kato.io, hit the Discord button, jump on Discord and ask there. People with more experience than me might be able to help you out with the Kato issue, but I've never had any issues installing Kato on multiple instances of Kali. Poplu said, how do you know it was a Flask app? You would know it was a Flask app as basically this right here, this Python and work Zug or whatever it is a pretty clear indicator that it is a Flask app would be one way to be able to detect it. And you just get that by running Nmap on it. But if we jump back here, I do want to show you guys, like I said before, no matter what you run against port 6048, it's nothing, right? Like, it does not help you. It does not give you any information. It is not X11. I even went down a big rabbit hole where I was reading logs on X11. The other thing I did when I had LFI is one methodology when you get LFI on a machine and you can read logs, so even like authentication logs, you might be able to do log poisoning and get RCE that way. And I spent way too long trying to get log poisoning on a bunch of different things, including like X11. I could read the X11 logs, which is like a GUI. I could read the logs, but I couldn't figure out how to poison them. So like truly, I was in a deep rabbit hole trying to figure out how the heck do I get access into this machine. Now, the one thing that I ended up doing with, once again, with Neffel's help is if we go out to my GitHub and whoops, didn't want to click my GitHub stats. Look at that, I got a B. It was a B- just the other day. I'm growing. I'm growing in my GitHub skills. I have this LFI service check. And this is based on the script that Neffels first discovered. Basically, it brute forces PIDs, process IDs, using LFI to discover what might be running on a specific port. You can go ahead and look at the code. But there's nothing super interesting here. It just accepts arguments for the threading and the port that you're trying to find information on, but it could easily fail because even for finding the port, I'm literally just grepping through the response and trying to find that port to see if it's in the response for one of the PIDs. And it also has this hard-coded in there. So if you're actually using this on something else, you'd have to update this. But I do want to be clear, I don't think you'll see something like this in the real world. Just to be totally upfront, not generally a pen testing thing, using LFI to read a hidden port. It would be more realistic to use LFI to read something like SSH keys or do log poisoning. That's more realistic, but this was more unique. But once again, I don't think you'll ever stumble across this particular attack in the real world web app or bug bounty. I might be wrong. If someone has, please correct me. But from my experience, this aspect of it is more CTF-y, less realistic. But I'm not even mad about it because it's not a big puzzle, right? I learned something new when I was going through here. So we could, like, I can just show off this script and how you can find it with this. But then I want to check out another way that I saw someone post about on GitHub. So let me just do sudo nano LFI, LFI service check.py. Paste that in there, and if I run it, with the help command, you can see this is a script that will use LFI to identify a service running on a port. This was created while going to the airplane room on TryHackMe. A big thank you to Neffels, and if you guys haven't check out his blog. He has some great write-ups on there for sharing his original base script with me. This is built off of his, and you see it accepts a port and it accepts the number of threads. So we can go ahead and give this a shot. We'll just say for our port, I believe it's 6048. If actually, did I clear it? No, it's right here. Yeah, 6048, and we can do like 50 threads because YOLO. And there we go. We find it right there. I just close out of it, but the service running on port 6048 is the GBD server 6048. And actually, if you go to GDB server rather on Hacktricks, here's the most interesting thing. You can make GDB server listen in any port, and at the moment, Nmap is not capable of recognizing the service. So that was the part that makes this machine way more difficult, and you have to use LFI to figure out what is running on there by brute forcing the different PIDs and finding the one for GDB server. But someone over on Discord, should I close my Discord? 1 second. Let me pull up Discord real quick because I want to give this person credit. All right, let me jump over to try hack me. All right, so here is Discord, and this is what OmniGod said, and I haven't actually tested this myself, but he said, actually, there is no need to brute force PIDs. One can make use of the proc schedule debug file to list all the running processes. There you will find a process named Airplane and its PID. Then using its PID, proc PID stat, you will find the PID of the parent process. Then, finally, by making use of the proc ppid command line, you can find out what's running on that strange port. I think I track what he's saying, so I just wanted, although I have my script that finds this in literally seconds, I wanted to check out if I could understand his method that he's posting about here in Discord. Neflo said the only thing that could result in real world is that it shows the commands passed in the process, but I agree it would be really rare. Yeah, I don't think we're going to run into this in a real world, but still interesting little trick to have. Okay. So he said to list all the running processes, and he said you'll find a process named Airplane. I see. So here's our running processes. Can I control F? So there's Airplane right there. All right, process 57, I think. I'm going to go ahead and send this over to repeater. Oops, again. There we go. And so that was 557, I believe. He says, so there you will find a process named Airplane in its PID, which is that right there, I believe. Then using its PID, proc PID stat, you'll find the PID of the parent process. So proc 557 stat, like that. Okay. You'll find the PID of the parent process. Then finally, by making use of proc ppid command line, you can find out what's running on that strange port. This is how much my looking at Linux processes skills suck. Is the 523 the parent process ID? I think. Let's just try it. If I do 523, and we'll change this to command line. Oh, interesting. So that would have worked as well. So big shout out. Let me pull that back over here. And big shout out to OmniGods here for showing that alternative way of getting the process ID instead of brute forcing. There's a little more methodological way of doing that by listing all the running processes. We then use the PID to find the PID of the parent process. Then we make use of the command line to read what's running on that strange port. Very interesting. So a few different ways that you're able to solve that. And once again, that shows us that running on 6048 is GDB server. With that information, there's a few different ways you can do this. So you can do it manually right here. Maybe I can even show both of these. But one way to do it really quickly is Metasploit. So I first did it manually when I got initial access to it, and then I broke my initial access and then had some very weird issues, so then I just Metasploited my way in. But I know some of you are studying for the OSCP and you're only allowed to use the Metasploit once on the exam, or you have one attempt at it. So I'll show you how to do it manually first, but really this covers it pretty well. So first we will grab this to make our payload. I'll jump over to here and we will go ahead and make a payload here. We'll call it 1337 because that's what a real hacker would do. And we are on 10.13.46.224. And I always like to name my shells based on the port when I'm doing a CTF or anything, so I remember what port it was on. So we'll call it shell 1337.elf for our Linux executable. Give it just a second. We'll make it executable like so. And gdb binary.elf, which I need to install, I think. So sudo apt install gdb. I don't think that will take too long. Hopefully my repos are updated so I don't have to try to update my VM while on stream. I did just update things recently, so we should be good. Then we all stare at the screen while it does the update. Get Glock said not real world at all. Yeah, I agree. Not real world. And generally, guys, I don't like the CTFs that aren't realistic. But this one I don't mind. Like it's not realistic, but it did teach me something quite interesting on what you can do with LFI that I honestly didn't even know was possible. All right. There we go. So now we have GDB installed, so we can do GDB shell like so. And now we just need to connect to our remote server. So target extended remote airplane.thm 6048. All right, and we are connected on it. And now I noticed something weird when trying to do this is it would finish the command when I wasn't ready to finish the command. So I learned to use Notepad to type out the command and just copy and paste it. So we are going to do remote put shell 1337.elf, and I think we'll have to put it here. Otherwise, we're going to run into issues with permission issues. We want to put it here. It is in our local machine, and on our target machine, we want to put it in the temp folder because we know we'll likely be able to write to that temp folder. Okay, so successfully put the file, and now we want to execute that file. So let's give this a shot. Set remote execute file temp shell 1337.elf. We'll get it ready, and we will go ahead and open up this as well, like so. And I think just Y for yes. Let's see if this works. This is what was buggy for me occasionally, which is why I switched over to Metasploit. And there we go. We have initial access right there. And I'll also show you guys the Metasploit way of doing it. So that's the initial access manually. Looking over at chat, OP Kevin said OSCP versus CEH12, which cert? OSCP hands down. As much as I don't like OffSec, they're still a lot better than the CEH people, in my opinion. All right, so that's one way we can do our shell. We can exit out of there. And I'll exit out of here as well. Let's open up Metasploit. Get Glock said PNPT is better than OSCP. I both. I agree. TCM Security is a much better organization than OffSec. The only plus side of OSCP is, like it or not, it still is the name recognition gold standard when it comes to pen testing, but it's very much a CTF, right? PNPT is a lot more realistic and real world. The OSCP is much more like, are you good at CTFs? And if so, you can pass it. From my experience. And I don't hate on the OSCP. Like some people hate on the OSCP because I couldn't pass it. I passed the OSCP on my first attempt in 8 hours. So I don't say that because I thought it was super hard. I say that because I just think it's not realistic now that I'm actually a pen tester. But here we go. We're in Metasploit. We can search for GDB server. And there's a exploit right here. So we can do use 0. Let's look at the options that we have like so. And we can set XE to spawn, blah, blah. We don't need to worry about that. Let's set our host to airplane.thm. Let's set our port to 6048. Let's set our L host to our IP 224, and L port of 444 is fine. We might run into issues here. Yup. And the reason I think is we need to update our payload information, right? So we want to use, we can just use this. We don't even need to Metasploit one. Let's do this. Set payload to such. We just need to get the right architecture for the payload. And we have a command shell opened. Right, and we can see that we are Hudson. We can stabilize the shell a little bit, but I always forget the syntax. Here is the syntax, so we can grab this. All right, so it looks a little bit neater. And we can see we're in the opt directory, and we see the airplane application here. If we go over to home, LSLA, CD Hudson, we do not have user.txt. You can see our Flask app was running out of here. Right, we have our app.py, static, templates, all of those things. You can see our SSH folder. And whoops, one trick we can do now that we have at least initial access is if we CD to SSH, we can touch a folder and we'll call it authorized keys. And then we can jump over to our machine and we can cat home Tyler SSH .pub. Right, I can grab my public key now. And I can echo my public key into authorized keys. And it's there, and now we should be able to SSH as Hudson. All right, so now we have a much more stable shell. I can even exit out of this one. With our initial access, we just echo in our public key into the authorized keys folder. And even if there's not a file there, with RCE, we can create the file as long as SSH is enabled. And now we have a much more stable shell, and we have persistent access now to the Hudson account. But of course, we need to elevate our privileges, and there's a few things that we can do. One easy way to see if there's anything vulnerable is, of course, to run a classic linpeas.sh. So let me locate linpeas.sh on my machine, and we have it in tools. So we can just do Python 3. I'll just jump over to that. Open up a simple web server on my machine, jump over to here, wget 10.13.46.224 linpeas.sh. All right, and then run it. Give this just a second to run through. Jeffrey Allen said over on YouTube, Tyler, do you have a CCSP? Do you mean Certified Cloud Security Professional? I do have the CCSP. I have this cert and a bunch of other certs. I have this one. I do not have the CISP because that's more for blue team and I'm a pen tester. But I do have the CCSP. Although it's probably expired now. Like, guys, certs are such a scam half the time. Even ISC Square, right? I have this. It's probably expired because there's these annual maintenance fees, right, of $125. And I know ISC Squared was always doing the ISC Squared like cybersecurity cert, like the basic cybersecurity cert, certified in cybersecurity. IC Squared. So like you have this annual fee of $50. So in my opinion, a lot of these certification companies such as ISC Squared, and if they take away my cert for saying this, I don't care, is like they get as many people as possible to take their exam. Because I think this was a free exam, right? Certified in cybersecurity is free. They got all these people and all these YouTubers and all these influencers to make these videos telling people, hey, you need to get this certified in cybersecurity cert because it's free. And this is what the influencers and everyone was saying. But you're hit with these freaking renewal fees all the time. It's just a way for ISC Squared to make money off of the community. So you will not find me telling you, you need this cert, you need this cert, you need this cert. Because to be honest, as someone with a bunch of certs, I have all your main certs, most of them are a scam. It's just a way for these companies to make money with their stupid renewal fees. So as much as I don't like OffSec, I do very much appreciate OSCP and TCM Security and organizations like that don't require a stupid renewal fee after you get the certification. Like, I have a bachelor's degree. I can't imagine getting my bachelor's degree and then like having to pay a freaking renewal fee constantly for my bachelor's degree to give the school more money. It is stupid. All right? Anyone disagree with me? Let me know your guys' thoughts. Unfortunately, some of them are a necessary evil to land the first job, but once you have a job and once you have experience in whatever field you want, honestly, screw certs. Do the training for the cert if it's helpful, but don't even take the cert. You don't need it. Just learn, get experience. Don't pay the stupid renewal fees of these certs. Don't give those organizations more money. They don't need it. You need the money more than they do. All right, there's my rant. AZ Cowboy once said, can't you write that off in your taxes? I have no idea. I don't. You probably can, but I don't know. Anyways, if we scroll through our LinP's results, we're just looking for anything that stands out to us, and one thing should stand out right here. So this is interesting. We have the suid bit set, which means we're able to run a command as another user. So the suid bit is set on the find command, but not as root like you would normally see in Privesc, but it's set for the Carlos user. So we can run find as Carlos. So that's interesting, some interesting privilege escalation. If we jump over to this and we can just do GTFO bins, find, we want to find, and if the suid bit is set, we can do this to get a shell as whatever user our suid bit is set as. And here, user bin find is set for Carlos. So let me do user bin, and I'll copy. Oh, I think this might just work just like that. Let's give that a shot. Okay. User bin find there. Exec bin shp quit. And now we are the Carlos user. So cd to home Carlos. We can cd to ssh. We can touch authorized. Whoops. Touch authorized keys. Cat home Tyler ssh dot pub. Grab my public key. Echo my public key into the authorized keys file for Carlos, and then ssh Carlos at airplane.thm. Don't think that worked. I shouldn't get a password prompt. We do have my authorized key there. Did I spell anything wrong? Unless it's just going to require password authentication. I could have swore when I did this myself, this worked. I'm going to try it one more time. I'm Carlos, right? Okay, well, apparently it's not going to work on Carlos, although I swore that's how I did it myself. That's not that big of a deal, though. We can go ahead and let's stabilize our shell again. I think this is the link I usually use. I should just say this in my own notes, but right here. Oh, that may not work here. Oh, because am I still? So I'm just as Carlos in the find shell. Oh, is it permissions AZ Cowboy 1 for authorized keys? I just did this though. Oh, look. It's doing it as Hudson. You're right. I think it is a permission issue because I'm executing these commands in this weird find shell. So although I am Carlos, if I do ID, I bet it's Hudson, yeah. But then this weird ID is Carlos. We do need to update the permissions here. Is this right? That might be my issue. Let me give it a shot. Oh, beautiful. Okay, cool. I don't remember doing that when I did this initially, but maybe I did and just forgot about it. But there we go. We just had to fix the permission of our authorized keys. The reason it was weird is because we're creating it as Hudson. And so it was setting the permission so that we had a write access, but we needed to set it up so Carlos as the owner had a read and write and then read or read. We just need to adjust the permissions there. And now with that, we are now logged in as Hudson via SSH. So we can close out this tab. And now we can do sudo-l. And so this is interesting. It says the user Carlos may run the following commands in Airplane as root, of course, user bin Ruby, but it says we can only do it within what appears to be the root directory. So you cannot just do something like this. If you go back out to GTFO bins and type Ruby and go here, and you're like, okay, I'll just, I can run it as sudo. This won't work, right? Because it's not in the root users folder. There's really a few different ways that you can do this at this point, but if I do like a Ruby reverse shell, we can grab this one right here. Simple reverse shell. We'll copy this and we'll cd to home Carlos, and I'm a nano shell dash Ruby. Paste this in here. Just need to update our IP information. Looks like we're using port 1337, which is fine. Let's update this to match our IP 10.13.46.224 like so. I think that all looks good to me. So we have our Ruby shell, and it says we can run as root Ruby, but only in the root directory. But what if we do something like this? Sudo user bin Ruby root. I think it would be one out like that. Home Carlos shell.ruby. And there we are as root. And there is the root.txt flag. I'll let you do that on your own. I'm not going to show you the flag itself, but now I showed you the full process on how to get the flag. So overall, although this machine isn't realistic, like you're not going to run into this particular attack in the real world, and you're probably not going to run into like things like a Suid bit being set for just a standard user that you can then run fine as that user to get a shell. Like, not realistic in that way, but it still teaches some unique methods of initial access, some unique troubleshooting, figuring out different things, which even if the machine isn't super realistic, the troubleshooting and skills you learn along the way are helpful. They will help you in actual pen testing or blue team to defend against these unique attacks, with LFI being an initial entry point. So hey, hope you found this video helpful, and also want to be clear again, this is not one of my blind approaches. I spent the entire weekend on this machine, got completely stuck, and then my friend Neffels over on Discord DM'd me his starter script, and that's where I built my other script with threading built into it to figure out the service, and then I was able to kind of go through it from there. Like, once I knew the GDB server, the rest of it I was able to figure out pretty easily on my own, but very unique way to do that. So hey, want to thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. All right. Gabriel said I didn't need to change mod the authorized keys for Carlos when I did the machine. I didn't either. Okay, I didn't think I had to do that either. Get Glock says the Hack Tools browser add-on has a tab for the TTY spawn you can just copy and paste. What is a Hack Tools browser add-on? What the frick are you talking about? Bro, I never heard of such a thing. Sounds like a crypto miner. What is this witchcraft? Oh my goodness. This is amazing. Wow. Dude. My mind is blown right now. This is amazing. What? No freaking way. That tool is from a very long time. Guys, I've never heard of this tool. I've never heard of this tool. Oh my goodness. I am like, my mind is blown right now. How have I never heard of this? Okay, in chat, if you download this on Windows, it says there's embedded malware. Well, of course it does on Windows because it sees all the shells in there. It looks like malware. Chat, everybody in chat, who's seen this before? Do I just live under a freaking rock? Someone tell me. I want to take a poll. I don't know how to do a poll. If I knew how to take a poll, I would do it. I did. So I'd heard of it but never seen it. Guys, I might have to make a standalone YouTube video on just this, like real quick. Wow. All right, we're making a video right now on this, and I'm giving credit out to Get Glocked over on Twitch. Oh, we got a raid from the one and only BlazeBits. What is up, y'all? Thank you all for hanging out. BlazeBits, thank you for the raid, my friend. I appreciate it. Guys, I just had my mind blown. We just finished we finished the airplane machine on Try Hack Me. And once we finish it, Get Glocked over on Twitch told me about an extension I had never heard of before in my life, and it's going to change my life. Yeah, okay, for those of you who just joined from BlazeBits, have you guys ever heard of this browser extension called Hack Tools? Right? You have all the reverse shells and stuff built into it. You have PHP reverse shells. You can get your interactive shell here, useful Linux commands, PowerShell commands for Active Directory, transfer methods, LFI, cross-site scripting, SQL injection, data encoding, obfuscated files, hashing, MSF Builder. I think I missed it. Oh, feed RSS, MSF Builder. What is this witchcraft? Is that not insane? For all of you who just came over from BlazeBits, let me know in chat on Twitch. Have you guys heard of this extension before? This browser extension? My mind is seriously blown at this point. This is amazing. Wow. This is so... I feel like I have a spell book, a hacker spell book in my browser. How you get it? You just literally Google Hack Tools freaking... It's right here. You can also get it for Chrome. Insane. Can I use this on the OSCP? I have no idea. I don't know why you couldn't use it on the OSCP, because it's not doing any automatic pwning at all for you. It's literally just like having notes. Like it's not auto exploiting stuff. So I don't see any reason why you couldn't use it on the OSCP. Preston Ryan says, I don't trust that. I don't think there's anything wrong with this tool. Is there any way this tool's like being used to steal data from me? I don't think so. Oh, it's on GitHub as well? Okay, cool. Well, then I feel a little more trusted. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be anything malicious in this. If you're worried, though, you can definitely go read through the code yourself, but... Check out full... How do I open in full screen mode? Is there like an option for that? Stuff usually gets flagged pretty quick. It does some malicious. Yeah, I agree. I mean, guys, if you're downloading this on Windows, it's going to get flagged because Windows... I had this issue when I was studying for the OSCP using Windows to store my notes. Windows kept freaking deleting my notes because it was like malware. So I'm like, yes, I know it's malware, bro. I'm trying to learn how to be a hacker. I finally set up an exclusion, but... Oh, full screen mode. Wow, this is so cool. freaking amazing, y'all. My mind is blown out. We're going to make a standalone YouTube video about this right now. No planning, no scripting. I'm going to wing it with my natural excitement. All right, let's make a quick YouTube video. We're making it live, but I'll eventually make this a standalone video. Trying to think of how I want to do my introduction. All right, here goes nothing. Hey, what is up, everyone? I just discovered like the most amazing browser extension for hacking, and I cannot contain my excitement. This is natural excitement. I am live on stream right now. I want to give a big shout out over on Twitch to Get Glocked. We were just working through the Airplane machine on TryHackMe, and Get Glocked was like, yo, there's this Hack Tools browser extension that has all the shells in there, how to stabilize your shell, because I kept Googling things, and honestly, I thought he was messing with me. I was like, what are you talking about? I've never heard of any such wizardry. But here we go. I just installed it. I'll walk you through the process of how to install it, but I'm here on Firefox. It works for both Firefox and Google Chrome. But here we go. If I go to my extensions, I have Hack Tools right here, and this is amazing. So like for the reverse shell, you can just type in your IP here in your port, and it has all your basic reverse shells. But not only does it have reverse shells, we can do a PHP reverse shell. We can get our TTY spawn shell to get a fully interactive shell. It gives us the full detailed steps to do that. We have useful Linux commands. We even have some Active Directory PowerShell enumeration, system enumeration, Active Directory enumeration. We have transfer methods. So when you are kind of blanking in your mind on how to transfer files from Windows to Linux, Linux to Linux, Linux to Windows, Windows back and forth, we can jump to here and figure it out real quickly. We have LFI. So if you want to figure out some basic LFI information, we have all of our cheat codes right here. We have cross-site scripting. Often when you're doing a web app pen test, you need some quick cross-site scripting to abuse it. We have all of it. We have data grabbers. We have cross-site scripting, HTML, and applications. We have SQL injection. We have data encoding. We have obfuscated files or information. Like, this is amazing. We have hashing. We have the feed if we want to check these out. We have the MSF builder right here. Additionally, if we want, we can make it full screen mode if it would work. There we go. And now we are in full screen mode, and we can check it all out in full screen mode. Now, if you want to download this, I'll drop the links in the description of this video, but you can do it on Firefox. I'll drop the link here. Here's the Firefox add-on right here. You can also do it for Chrome. Here's the Chrome add-on. And hey, if you want to check out the code, it's even open source on GitHub. And if you have ideas, you have contributions you want to make, jump over to GitHub, open up a pull request, or open up an issue if you're having an issue. And honestly, this has blown my mind tonight. I want to once again give a shout out to Get Glocked for showing off this browser extension while I was working through the machine. So for the rest of you who felt like you were living under a rock like me, hope you enjoyed this tool. I'm going to start using it on all of my live streams as I work my way through these machines. But hey, hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Boom. No planning, just wing it. Hopefully that video was good. I think it was. I'll go through and drop it later, but my mind really is blown. All right, Nefos dropped a link here for Orange Cyber Defense Arsenal. You know, I heard of Arsenal before, but I've never used it. Let me pull that up. Yeah, I'd also say for all of you over on Twitch, my main platform is YouTube, so I'm going to do shameless self-promotion. If you haven't subscribed to me on YouTube, please do. This is where I post all of my standalone videos. Like, what I do on my live streams is I'll go through different machines. I'll go through different labs. What's probably different from me than other content creators is I don't plan it ahead of time. Most of the time, it's just me going through a machine completely live, making silly mistakes, getting frustrated, but eventually stumbling my way through it. All my videos, when I'm done, get posted on YouTube, but I also have standalone videos that are shorter, like some platforms on learning AWS, how to create real phishing infrastructure, all that good stuff. The other thing that probably makes me different than some other content creators is I don't like or believe in sponsored videos. So I get requests pretty often from people or from organizations offering me money, like upwards from $500 to $1,000 to make a sponsored video for them. And I have said no every single time, because like if I talk about a company, if I talk about a tool, talk about an organization, you know that I'm not getting paid to talk about it. If I'm talking about something, it's because I believe in it and I actually use it. It's not because they're sending me money. So I'm not trying to get rich off YouTube. I do pen testing for a living and I make enough money being an actual pen tester. I don't need to try to get money off of my viewers. So when I talk about something, it's because I actually believe in that product or that organization. It's not because they are paying me. And yo, just got some subscribers on Twitch. Get Glocked, thank you so much. Not only did Get Glock show off the MVP browser tool, he has gifted 2 subs to the community, and they've gifted a total of 4. Amazing, Get Glocked. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the support. Seriously, you're awesome. Gilderas said, have you ever heard of Tailscale? And it's a company I know people who work there, and I think it's a very cool VPN software. Curious in your opinion, but happy for you to say nothing about it. I've never heard of it. Let's check it out. Although I am a little bit leery of VPN products because of that massive botnet that was being ran through free VPN downloads. What is Tailscale? Oh, it's open source. That's good. Secure remote access. Oh, so it's software-defined networking. So basically, I can set this up and I can access my machine from a different state or a different country. I think my understanding takes minutes. That's pretty cool. I'll have to check this out. Oh yeah, Easy Copy 1 said Tailscale is legit. Do you guys use it? Oh, cool. What's personal? What do I get? Up to 3 users of the public domain. Up to 100 devices. Peer-to-peer connection. Magic DNS. Yo, this is pretty dang cool. You know, like, I don't ever leave my house. So, like, I don't usually need to connect back to my house. But I bet for red teaming or pen testing, even to set up a quick, like, VPN tunnel and stuff, this would be one way to do it. Otherwise, like if I'm traveling and want to connect back to my home network on a home computer, I bet this would be a sweet way to do it. Nebula is really good for red teaming. Oh. What's... Oh, I see. That's cool. Very cool. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Nebula looks similar as well. Cool stuff, y'all. Thank you for sharing these tools. Dan Lincoln over on YouTube said, what are your thoughts on Web3 hacking / smart contract auditing? Is this a good area to study for the future? Well, let me ask. Oh, we got another subscriber. I'm Rye, though. Hey, thank you, Rye, for subscribing with Prime. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. I need to up my Twitch game, guys. Like, I don't know how cool people like BlazeBits do all those cool sounds and stuff. I don't know how to do that. If anyone wants to come make my Twitch channel awesome, please do. I'm totally a Twitch noob. I'm a noob at YouTube as well. Like the only thing I'm good at is the streaming part of it. So I figured out how to live stream to 3 platforms for free. A lot of people use Restream, but that costs money if you want to stream in full HD. But I figured out how to use OBS to do multi-streaming in full HD. So I'm streaming right now to Twitch, LinkedIn, and YouTube in full HD, and I'm not paying anything. I'm doing it all through OBS, but that's about my only superpower. I'm not good at like all the Twitch setup stuff. But thank you for the subscribers. Anyways, I want to actually ask you guys on chat, because I don't have experience with Web3 and smart contracts. Let me share Dan's question again for those of you in chat. Would love to get your thoughts. Dan said this: what are your thoughts on Web3 hacking / smart contract auditing? Is this a good area to study for the future? My thoughts are, I just don't have too many thoughts. I've never done it. I know, like, where I work for pen testing, every once in a while, we'll get organizations reaching out to us for that kind of work, and we just tell them no, because we personally don't do it. But I know there's some companies that special in it, like, let's do, like, Web3... So, like, this is a company that I've heard of, blockchain penetration testing. I just have never done it, y'all. There was like one Advent of Cyber room on this, and I was so lost trying to do it. I just don't know how it works. But I would say, as far as this is a good area to study for the future, most areas are good areas to study for the future. Like if you get a niche for yourself and do research in the area, you'll grow, you'll learn, and you might be able to land a role in it. I will just say though, if you want to like land your first pen testing job, learn web app pen testing. Best skill you can possibly learn if you want to be a pen tester. To land your first junior or associate pen tester job, web app pen testing is where it's at. And it's a little bit confusing because when you first get into ethical hacking, at least for me, the main platforms, TryHackMe, Hack the Box. There's a small portion of web app pen testing, but most of it is network pen testing. But in the real world, if you want to break into the field, the vast majority of pen test firms you're going to work at, they have an abundance of web apps, whereas network pen testing is usually for those with a little more experience. So as a junior, you're going to start out doing web apps and APIs. And if you want to land that junior role, that's what you need to know. But you don't have to stay there. So for example, I started my first pen testing job about 1 year and 9 months ago now as a junior pen tester, but I very quickly learned other assessment types. After 1 year, I got promoted to a mid-level or a career pen tester, but I started out just doing web apps and externals, and now I do web apps, APIs, externals, internals, mobile apps, both iOS and Android. I do cloud, both Azure and AWS. I do social engineering, pretext calling, phishing, stuff like that. I'm probably missing some assessment types, but basically, as I was given the opportunity, I jumped and learned as many assessment types as I could, and that helped me grow just in my career, in my company itself. But just know that if you start with web apps and APIs, you don't have to stay there, but it's still a skill you're going to want to use. I still do web apps and APIs all the time, but even like on a red team or an internal, being good at web apps is going to be a huge advantage to you. So just know, you want to be a pen tester, do not ignore web apps. They are often the key that's going to unlock that career move for you. All right, I'm missing some stuff over on Twitch. P-Search said, how long a pen tester? Well, I think I just answered that. MyKill86 says, I was lost on the advent of cyber smart contracts too. Welcome to the party. P-Search said, this is my main goal. Also, Gidera said, even some of the stuff to build the blockchain is rough, but 100% if you are good at this specific field, you would be royalty. Easiest to get into and simplest, yeah. Oh, Global Defender said, bro, you are a pro. I've never seen someone rap its way through every video, no script or nothing. That's what you have to do when you suck at video editing, guys. I'm not good at editing video, so when I make those shorter videos, I don't plan them. I literally just wing it on the spot and hope it turns out. So thank you, though, for the kind words. Netful said, I think a niche is good, but that is a secondary goal. I really enjoy SDR hacking, but playing around with hardware hacking now. And Gilderas said, and if you're over the age of 40, you probably just do web stuff in your sleep automatically. Probably. I'm not over the age of 40, but P-Search said I kind of got sidetracked watching bug bounties. Cheeto Bandito said former preacher confirmed while speaking effortless. Yeah, that's the other advantage I have, guys. I've been speaking for a long time. Before I got into pen testing, I spent 10 years, believe it or not, as a pastor. So I did like public speaking in front of hundreds of people every single week. And then before that, when I was in high school, I did speech, and I even won some speech competition. So like I've been doing public speaking since I was like 14 years old. So that helps on the talking part of it. But I will say once again, if you want to pivot into pen testing, you need to think about how you can use your past experience to help. Like for me, when I got into pen testing, I was not the most technical hacker. Still am not the most technical hacker. There's so many people way smarter than me who aren't even pen testers yet. But the reason I was able to break into the field and accelerate in my growth is simply because of communication. Having the ability to speak, not come off as a jerk, and explain technical concepts to non-technical people and just like teach your way through it was a superpower for me. So I'm not as technical as like the John Hammonds, the Heath Adams, all those people. They're all way smarter than me, but I'm able to talk somewhat well, and that's helped me in my career. Okay, Rooted. Oh, wait, I got some more questions over on YouTube. We'll continue to do some Q&A. Frostbite IP said, should I go to WGU to get my bachelor's in cybersecurity? Do you think it's worth it? I do. And like, for those of you who haven't heard of WGU, this is where I went to school at. There's WGU Bachelor's Cybersecurity. This is my bachelor's that I have. And the reason I chose WGU is because of the certifications that come with the degree. Where the frick is their technology? Okay, I just want to find the cybersecurity degree. Here it is. This is the exact degree I have. Now, also to be clear, you don't need a degree to even be a pen tester. Most of the time, degrees literally don't matter at all on the red team side of it. They're a little more important on the blue team side. But the reason I went to WGU was a few reasons. One is I was broke. When I went to school, I had no money, made about $40,000 a year for a family of 4. And I was the only income provider for my family. So you can imagine $40,000 a year for a family of 4. We were broke. And so I qualified for all of financial assistance. So I think school costed me maybe like $40 a month, if that. The government paid for everything else. So thank you for your taxpayer money for paying for my college tuition. But I also, one side note on that, although I make way more than that now, like I don't even know how many times more than that I make now, I haven't changed my standard of living, haven't changed the way I live. I still drive like my car is a 2002 Volvo. The odometer is broken. I don't even know how many miles it has on it. It's always a leaking crap. But that's why I drive, because like, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I didn't upgrade my home at all. Still live in the same home and everything. I just try to honestly give away more money and be more generous with my money to some organizations that I support and throw stuff in savings. So one thing I'll just say, if you are getting into the field, there is a good chance you will end up making a lot more money than you make now. But the trap a lot of people fall into is just because they make more money, they then increase their standard of living beyond what they're able to afford, and they're like, how can I never get ahead? I make way more money than I used to make, and yet I'm still falling behind on my bills every month. It's because you suck at managing your money. Just because you make more money doesn't mean you need to increase your standard of living. If anything, bro, give your money away, be generous. Don't just accrue wealth for yourself for the fun of accruing wealth. Give it away, help others, put some stuff in savings, but don't just upgrade crap because you feel like you have more money. Terrible life decision that you can make, and so many people make that decision. Don't do it. Anyways, now that my rant is over, I went to WGU because it was super affordable for me, and they allow you to accelerate your degree, which is the other thing. WGU is something known as competency-based education, which means in the traditional classroom model, I should make a standalone video for this as well, shouldn't I? I might start recording this, because this is a question I get almost every other stream, people asking me about WGU and a bachelor's, and I would love to have a video where I can just be like, hey, I've answered this question, check out this video. Let me do that real quick. Drink of water, hydrate, and then we'll do another unscripted standalone video. All right, here we go. Well, one of the most common questions I get is, hey, Tyler, what do you think about WGU, also known as Western Governors University, and their bachelor's program in cybersecurity? Now, I do want to be upfront. I actually have this degree. When I was breaking into the field in 2021, and I realized I needed to pivot from pastoral ministry to cybersecurity, I thought, hey, I should probably get a bachelor's degree. But here's the thing. Not everybody needs a degree. So to be clear, if you want to be a pen tester, red teamer, degrees honestly aren't that important. Instead, you should focus on some of those hands-on certifications, such as the OSCP, the PMPT, the CPTS. Those are going to really help you stand on the pen testing side of things. Whereas on the blue team, or maybe an internal red team at a larger organization, just to get past that HR filter, you often need some type of degree, and it's likely a bachelor's degree. But hey, even if you want to be a pen tester, which is what I do, I don't think you can go wrong with getting a bachelor's degree, because you have that, it marks the checkbox, and hey, you might even learn something in the process. Now, I'm going to share my screen and just want to walk you through WGU and their bachelor's in cybersecurity program. To be clear, this is not a sponsored video. Those of you who follow me, you know I don't make sponsored videos. So if I talk about an organization, talk about something like this, it's because I actually believe in it and I appreciate what they do. So here is WGU. The first first thing you need to understand about WGU is it's competency-based education. I know that's a big word, competency-based education. What that means is, unlike a traditional school, you can accelerate your degree. Now, to be clear, most people go through WGU, at least from the latest statistics I saw, they don't accelerate their degree. It takes the average person 3 to 5 years to still get their bachelor's degree through WGU, but if you're able to grind it out, you can accelerate. So for me, I earned my bachelor's degree at WGU in 7 months, was out the door, and it was super affordable for me because I was able to do it so quickly. Because with competency-based education, the way you pass a class is by, well, showing competency. So for example, you may take a class on basic network security, and in order to pass that class, you don't take a final exam through WGU, you have to sit and pass the CompTIA Security Plus. And they tell you, hey, if you want to take the Security Plus, you can either take our path and attend a traditional class and go through it, or just pass the Security Plus and you can be done with the class. And so that's what I would do. I would just figure out how can I study for this cert and pass it, and I would finish an entire class in like a week because I would just pass the Security Plus or the Network Plus, and I would be done with the class. So in some ways, it's a way more difficult than traditional school, but it works well for the right person. Now, the really cool thing about WGU is it comes with IT certifications built in. So you do not pay separate for these. Now, for me, when I went to WGU, well, I had no money. So I got like the maximum amount of financial aid. So it costed me like a total of, I think, $40 a month when I was going. And in that $40 a month, it included every certification that I needed. So while I was attending WGU, I got the A+, the Network Plus, the Security Plus, the Project Plus, the CYSA. This is like a stack certification. These are stack certifications for those CompTIA stuff. The Pen Test Plus. I don't think I took Linux Essentials. I don't think that was a requirement for me, but the CCSP and the SSCP, I got all of these certifications while I was attending WGU. And so in 7 months, I got all of these certs and I got a bachelor's degree, and I very quickly landed my first job. So what I did is in my first month at WGU, I got the A+ certification. And as soon as I got that, I started applying for IT support or help desk jobs, got hired pretty quickly. And then I was working in IT support as I finished my degree. So I was getting the certifications, I was getting experience under my belt, and I was knocking out a bachelor's degree all in 7 months. And from there, my career trajectory from WGU is I was IT support level 1 for about 5 months. From there, I became an IT support manager just based on my past leadership experience at a college. And so I was a manager of their IT support department for the school. From there, I became a senior analyst at a large bank on the blue team side of things. That was my first fully remote job. And then from there, I became a pen tester at Rhino, which is where I'm at now. So my total journey, it took me for about, I think, 1.5 years to go from like no IT experience. Literally my first full-time IT job was in 2021. So I went from IT support level 1 in 2021, and then it took me 1.5 years to land a role as a pen tester. Now that's totally not ordinary. I wouldn't compare your own journey to that. Those of you who follow me on YouTube, you know that I grinded a bunch and studied and got things like the OSCP and was constantly doing CTFs, and I'm still constantly doing CTFs. But the cool thing about this field is if you put in the work, at least from my experience, it really does pay off. And hey, if you're like, Tyler, how can I become an ethical hacker? Look, I made another video all about that and how you can become an ethical hacker in 2024, gave you the exact path that I would recommend, that you could be pen tester ready in about 10 months if you follow that path. I don't get any kickbacks. I'm not telling you to sign up for some silly overpriced boot camp. I'm not telling you to pay me for some overpriced coaching. I do all of my content for free just to help give back to the community. So hey, for those of you wondering about WGU from a pen tester's perspective, hope you found this video helpful. And if you have further questions about WGU, let me know in the comments. Hey, would love to hear from you. And hey, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Boom. Knock out another standalone. Killing it. All right, let's see if there's any other good questions. I can just start pumping out more standalone videos. Let me jump over to Twitch because I was missing questions on there. King Tech said, what do you do to bypass spam filters for phishing emails for a penetration test? Do you ask the client to allow list your IP or domain, or do you do bypasses, and what email provider do you use? So I don't have a whole lot of experience doing phishing, but the big thing you need to understand, King Tech, is the difference between phishing and red teaming, right? Red teaming is when you emulate an APT or an advanced persistent threat, and a red team engagement is usually much longer, 3 months, 6 months, maybe a year. A pen test is a time-limited engagement, sometimes 5 days, maybe 10 days. And when you're in a time-limited engagement, the focus is not on testing their email security. Most of the time, you're not trying to bypass filters. It's testing employees. So from my experience, doing a phishing as part of a pen test, the client will allow list whatever your domain is, so you don't have to try to bypass some of that filtering. If you do need to bypass filtering, a lot of it depends on what they're using for their email, right? Often it's domain reputation, so it's registering a domain quite a bit of time ahead of time. Maybe it's setting up a legit website on that because you have to get into DNS categorization. But honestly, it goes pretty deep, and it all depends on what web server you are targeting. So I can't give specific advice on that, but generally speaking, for a typical pen test, the client does allow list or whitelist your domain, and so really you're testing the employees, not their email security, because you're wasting everybody's time just when your email ends up in spam. Hopefully that makes sense. Stealth Proxy Hack said, just graduated from there. All I can say is don't overpay when you can go to WGU. I agree. WGU is awesome. Cheeto Benito said, that pace is unheard of. It's a grind, dude. I mean, more of my story, guys, is I was, like I shared before, I was a pastor for 10 years. And honestly, I thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life. I had a strong call, I thought, to that world, and even started a church, y'all. I wonder if I can pull it up here. I think the website's still out there. Here, let me see if I can find some stuff without fully doxing myself, which I probably can't. Although you can literally just Google me and figure out where I live and stuff, but yeah, I won't share it. You can Google it. You can find it yourself. But I'll close this out. I started a church. We planted a church. And for those of you who don't know church terminology, it's very much like when I say I planted a church, think about entrepreneurship, right? So when I was super young, but me and my wife started a church in this small town, with just the two of us, and just through leadership and outreach and reaching out to people, we grew it to a spot where it was, self-sustaining. I was able to take a full-time salary, although not much from the church. But even at that time, guys, I was working on average about 3 different jobs at the same time while doing all of that, just because churches don't pay well, especially a church that you're just getting started. And the reason I started a church, because it almost sounds cultish when I say it that way, but it wasn't cultish in that way. I live in a rural community, and most churches in rural communities are very traditional, and most people just don't feel welcomed in them, because if you don't dress a certain way, look a certain way, talk a certain way, you don't fit in. So the church that we started very, very much reached out to those on the margins of society and culture. A lot of addiction, drug addiction, things like that are the kind of people who are attracted to the church, attracted to my leadership, for good or for bad. But I wanted to be a church for people who have been rejected or hurt by the church in the past, and that's what it was. And it was really cool, really fun for the most part. A lot of difficult stuff, like I've sat down with people, like one dark story, not to get too dark, but like a mom who's struggling with alcohol addiction with 2 young kids got arrested and then committed suicide. And I had to walk through that, had to do like her funeral and everything. I've been in the rooms with people when they're dealing with very real death or when marriages are falling apart. So dark stuff. Not all pastors get private jets. I never got a private jet. Like I shared before, like the most I made was $40,000 a year to be on call 24/7 and deal with really high, tough emotional stuff. I spent 3 years on the academic level studying theology, philosophy, history, languages, Greek, Hebrew. I have a master's of divinity, which is just a master's of all of that stuff. So spent a lot of time on it, a lot of money, a lot of resources. I really poured my heart into it. When we got into the COVID-19 pandemic, which I'm sure you've all heard about, so remember, I live in a rural community in South Dakota, which that's about as hardcore MAGA Republican Trump nation as you can get. And I'm not going to go into politics too much here, but I'm very much not that, right? I don't fit the hardcore Republican Trump era. And when it came to the COVID-19 pandemic, we did a few things. One is, well, we canceled services for a while. When we went back to having services, we only did it outside. But because I live in South Dakota, you can't be outside forever because eventually it's going to be negative 20 degrees out. So we eventually went to in-person services, but I required people to wear masks out of respect for those among us who are immunocompromised. And just me telling people to wear a mask to come to church led everyone to freaking lose their minds. Like, it was insane. Like, the crazy things religious people said to me, like, I'm telling y'all, religious people are freaking insane. Most of the time, I would much rather hang out with people who are not religious. Religious people can be nuts when it comes to this stuff. But asked people to wear masks. They lost their minds. They called me some crazy labels. We lost a bunch of people in the church, and I just saw the writing on the wall. There was no way this church was going to be able to provide a salary for me. And honestly, I was just burnt out. I was exhausted. I was frustrated. I was pissed off. I was sick of religious people, and I didn't want to lead them anymore. And like I shared before, I was a sole income provider for my family of 4. My wife at that time, 2 really young kids. My kids are 7 and 4 now. Then would have been 4 and not even 1. My son would have just been born. And so, like, the reason my work output was so much, getting my bachelor's degree and getting certs, is, guys, I had no other choice. I needed to provide for my family. If I continued in ministry, I was going to end up some statistic of some pastor who made a stupid decision and did whatever, right? That's where I would have ended up. So I had no other choice but to grind it out and get a degree and switch jobs. So that's why my work output in the beginning was so insane. I just had to provide for my family. So that's why I am no longer a pastor, and probably will never be. But I do actually preach occasionally. So I still love Jesus. I'm still a follower of Jesus. I try not to push my faith on people, especially on my stream. Like, I don't care what you believe, whether you're atheist, agnostic, whatever it is, you are welcome here. Would love to talk to you. I would say almost all my friends are not Christians. I have very few friends who are even Christians. But me personally, I have found the Jesus of the Bible, the first century rabbi who flipped tables and called out injustice in the religious leaders, to be someone worthy of my following and my study. But yeah, I agree with you, Gildorth. Religion and science can work hand in hand. Absolutely. Like I shared before, I am not one of those freaking hardcore Republican using Jesus as a means to prop up my politics. I can't freaking stand that, and I call it out every chance I get. But I'm very much in the minority where I live in my philosophy. But yeah, I don't want to talk more religion because I know that's not everybody's cup of tea. But the real juice is about kindness and empathy. Yeah, dude. I mean, like, guys, honestly, even if you're not religious, I would encourage you, read about Jesus, not from the preacher you saw on TV, but like read the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John in the New Testament, not even from a religious perspective if you don't want to, but just like look at the person of Jesus. I think it was Mahatma, I can't say his name, the Indian leader, Mahatma Gandhi. Am I saying that right? Gandhi. I'm just going to go Gandhi because I can't say his first name. I think it was Gandhi. Here, let me see if I can get the quote right. If I can find it. I can't find it. Y'all can find it up. But Gandhi said something along these lines. He read the Gospels, right? So his whole movement was based on the teachings of Jesus, even though he wasn't a Christian. But he said, like, yo, Christians, the reason I'm not a follower of Jesus is because the Christians who claim to follow Jesus look nothing like Jesus. They look nothing like this first century radical rabbi who calls out injustice in the religious elite and seeks to befriend the oppressed and the marginalized and the sinner, right? Those are the people Jesus came for, not the religious elite. Jesus was not crucified for being a good teacher. He was crucified for calling out injustice and proclaiming himself to be something that pissed off the religious people. So like, even if you're not religious, just read about Jesus, dude. Jesus was and is, and from my perspective, amazing. But even from a non-religious perspective, his teachings have literally transformed the world. The greatest religious leader teacher that ever has existed, in my humble opinion. All right, that's enough preaching to you guys. I try not to get too preachy on stream, but that ended up going there. Let me see what other questions we have. Oh, sorry, Rooted. I missed part of your question. Okay, let me jump over to Rooted now on YouTube. Rooted asked this question on YouTube. I have recently earned the OSCP, but I'm still having troubles getting interviews. The options in Canada are also fairly limited. Do you know of any companies looking to take on a junior pen tester? I'm sorry, friend. I do not off the top of my head. And that would be the tough thing as well, is a lot of the companies in US would require you to be a US citizen because of some of the confidential data you work with as a pen tester. Now, Canada obviously isn't far away, but that might be a tough thing. I just don't know the pen testing or InfoSec scene in Canada, so I'm sorry, friend. I do not have any good stuff for you in that way. As far as raising your chances, I made a video on that, but I'll give you a quick summary. Since you have the OSCP, the next thing you need to do, Rooted, is get a CVE, right? If we go to YouTube and go to this cool guy's YouTube channel. Is that search my YouTube? Yeah, apparently it searches all of them, but here's a video I'd recommend. I found 8 CVEs in 2 weeks, and you can too. CVEs, or 0 days, aren't as difficult to find as one may think in different open source software. And I think, Rooted, what would help you stand apart is getting a CVE on your name. And in that video, I outlined how I got 8 of them and gave a very detailed guide on how to do CVE hunting. Oh, you did watch it. Sweet. That would be my recommendation, dude. If you can get even one CVE on your resume, that will really help you stand out. Faye VCA, if I'm saying that right, said, "Hey, Tyler, have you ever thought about offering your cybersecurity skills to companies and making your own?" Yeah, I mean, that's what I do as a pen tester. I'm a consultant, so I work with companies all around the United States every single week doing exactly that. Oh, you do have some CVEs. So, Rooted, I guess the question for you, Rooted, is, are you at least getting to the interview? Are you not even... Let me scroll up. Maybe you answered that. Having troubles getting interviews. Man, I'd love to see your resume. If you have me on Discord, dude, DM me your resume. Let me check out your resume and just see what your resume looks like. There might be something we can fix on there. All right, Twitch. Let me scroll through on Twitch. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking? I am 30. I feel like an old man, but I'm 30 years old. That's how old I am. Get Glocked said, is Pentest Plus worth it? I know it's not hands-on. I have Sec Plus because the DoD wants me to have it. I have the PNPT and the OSCP. What do you think I should go for next? I'm going to do Windows AD network pen testing. Oh man, you have the PNPT and the OSCP. Do not get the Pentest Plus. The Pentest Plus is not worth it. I have the Pentest Plus, and the Pentest Plus is just like a little more difficult version of the Security Plus. It is not hands-on. There's, of course, with CompTIA, there's what they call PBQs, or performance-based questions, as part of the certification, which is a little more hands-on, but it's nothing like the OSCP or the PNPT or anything like that. So I wouldn't say that's worth it. As far as what your next steps are, it depends what you want to do. If you already do Windows and AD network pen testing, I would say your next steps are not more certifications. I would say your next steps are security research. So maybe it's contributing to open source projects. Maybe it's finding CVEs yourself. Maybe it's creating tools. But honestly, you and I are kind of at similar spots in our journey based on what you're saying in the comments. And what I focus on now is I do a lot of learning, like through labs and courses, but I don't have any interest in getting any more certs because I don't feel like I need them. Instead, I try to do security research. So I have about 9 CVEs now under my name. I have another pretty big blog post in some major software. I found some broken access control in it that will be coming out either this month or next month. We got permission from the vendor to come out with that. I've done a lot of contribution to tools like Paku, CloudGoat, things like that. So I'm more focused on security research now, and that would be my recommendation for you as well. You are wise for 30. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. King Tech said, do you have any tips on how to improve communication or presentation skills, any courses? I don't have any tips for that. The tough thing about communication, presentation type stuff is everybody sucks when you first get started at. Like, just be blunt. You're going to suck. If you don't regularly communicate, get up in front of people and talk, the first couple of times you do it, you're not going to be good. And that's just reality. Nobody's good when they first start exercising a skill. But you have to get into a habit of doing it regularly. So for example, I box. That's the other thing I do. Once a week, I go to a gym and I do like hard sparring with people I eventually want to compete, but I box. And I've been boxing for 5 years. And it's the same thing there. When you get started in boxing, you're going to suck when you start. And it's all about focusing on little things. But when it comes to boxing, what I see happen is people will come to the gym. They'll come for maybe a few boxing sessions. They realize boxing is hard and they never come back again. It's all about that consistency and persistence that eventually pays off in the long haul. And the same is true about communication. To get good at communication or public speaking is you just have to do it. So you need to find opportunities, whether it's in your workplace, maybe it's starting a YouTube channel, Twitch channel, and just jump on camera, make a fool of yourself, and talk. That's in my opinion the only way you can get good at it. Courses can only do so much. You simply have to do it regularly, and as you do it regularly, you'll get better at it. Same with pen testing, same with hacking. You just have to build that muscle memory, and that's at least how I've gotten okay at public speaking, communication. You just have to do it. I always recommend starting a YouTube channel. I think that's a good place to start. Just jump on YouTube, make a video, get feedback from people, just start streaming. When I started streaming, it'd only be like one person watching, and that one person was my phone watching the stream, making sure it was good. Now we have like almost 50 people watching across the different platforms. So it's just, you just have to do it. Start talking, start making content, start speaking, and slowly but surely you'll get better. Oh, so I've never done Toastmasters. I've heard of it. I've never done it. You guys got to remember, I live in a town of 1,000 people. There ain't no Toastmasters. That's cool. So if you can join a Toastmasters, I bet that's an awesome way to do it, to get practice. I'll jump back to this. Every week you go and give a speech and listen to feedback. It sounds like being a pastor. That's what I did. Every week I'd go give a speech and get feedback. That's just like a way to get the same communication. That's awesome. All right, y'all. It's been about 2 hours and it's like 11:30 at night. I don't think my initial plan was to dive into another box, but instead we got some really good Q&A, which is awesome. So I'll be back on stream tomorrow night if you guys want to join me. I get on stream whenever I can get my kids to bed, which is a different time every night. Literally, it all depends when I can get them to bed, but probably by about 9 p.m., maybe 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'll be on stream, and we'll work through some more machines. I need to do a Pwn Labs machine, finish that, and I want to do that advanced SQL injection room off of TryHackMe. Ruda said, I had an interview today for a junior position. I'll message you on Discord tonight. Sweet. OP Kevin said, what age should I get married? Bro, I got married when I was 19. I got engaged when I was, I got engaged the summer after my senior year of high school. So I've been on my own for a long time. But yeah, I got married, moved out, everything when I was 19. Been on my own since. Dan Lincoln said, if web app pen testing is where it's at, do I need to go for the OSCP? Can I focus my time on bug bounties to get that real world experience? Yeah, I mean, bug bounties are amazing. CVEs would be even better. Just the plus side of the OSCP, as much as I don't like OffSec, is that still is going to open doors for you, right? So many jobs have OSCP as a requirement to get past that HR filter. Half the time HR doesn't know what a bug bounty is, but they know what the OSCP is. So if you can pay for the OSCP, like if you can afford it financially, get it. If you cannot afford it, then I wouldn't even do bug bounties, because you can't really put those on your resume. You can say like, I have this many bounties. But if you can get a CVE, which if you can get bug bounties, you can get a CVE. If you can get a CVE identifier on your resume, once again, that's going to be key. And that will help your resume stand out, Dan. Alex said, yo, Tyler, did you ever wish for a tool that does not exist yet? I'm looking for ideas on where I can contribute in this regard. Yeah. A tool like Paku, but for Azure. That would be a cool tool. So Paku is by the company I work at. But Paku is sort of like Metasploit for the cloud, but it's for AWS. It allows you to do a lot of enumeration, privilege escalation, all built in for AWS. I have even some pull requests myself. If you go over to here, like I actually rewrote that module, fixed this module. Paku's awesome. Would love if there was a Paku type tool for Azure that does similar stuff, but on the Azure side of things would be a cool tool. Off the top of my head, that's what comes to mind. Neffel said Paku for Azure +1. Yeah. Okay, y'all. It is about 11:30. I'm going to go edit some of these standalone videos. I'll probably drop one tonight on one of those standalone ones that we made. Also need to drop the airplane video. Have, honestly, a big backlog of videos. Once again, one more. Oh, sweet. Gabriel said, I made a short video about that extension that you showed and tagged you on LinkedIn. Hope you don't mind. No, I don't mind at all. I love it. The one more shameless self-promotion for those of you who may just be joining now. YouTube is my main platform. This is where you can find all my standalone videos, my shorter videos that you can't get on Twitch. So come subscribe to me on YouTube. Would appreciate it. Also, if you appreciate my content, you can support me in a few ways. Over on YouTube, you can become a member at $5 or $10 a month. To be clear, I don't believe in paywall, so by you becoming a member, you don't get any special perks, because like I want everyone to have equal access to my content, but it is a way that you can just show your support. So you can join all these cool people and become a member. You can also do a one-time gift anytime you want with a super chat. I think you can do that live stream or as a comment. Over on Twitch, you can become a subscriber. Either through Prime or manually. Honestly, I'm still kind of a noob at Twitch, but you can become a subscriber over on Twitch. Over on LinkedIn, the LinkedIn live stream platform is always broken. So if you want to be a supporter over on LinkedIn, please apply for a job at LinkedIn and fix the live stream so I can see the chat when I'm streaming on LinkedIn. But thank you all for hanging out. Do appreciate you taking the last 2 hours to hang out with me as we solved the airplane machine and just chatted together. So guys, I will probably be back on tomorrow night whenever I get my kids to bed. So I'll be on tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. Thank you for hanging out. Actually, before we sign off, is there anyone I can raid on Twitch? Let me check real quick. Oh shoot, there's a lot of people. I don't know if I know any of these people. I mean, I know myself. Let me just check some of these out. We'll just open up this link.
This is to get you guys in there and doing it. If you've never seen the subnetting template, well, that's fine. But the subnetting template is it's a bunch of challenges that I used to write for you guys, and I'll write them again if people want to do them. But they look like this. Let's go up a little bit.
Seems like a solid person. Unless you guys recommend somebody else. Let me pull that back up. Let's just raid Het Tanis over on Twitch. For those of you guys on YouTube, if you want to join the raid, jump over to Twitch. You can join the raid. We will raid Het Tanis, if I'm saying that right. And the I'm gonna get this pulled up on my other monitor real quick. Give me just a second. The raid wording or the tagline or whatever phrase you say when you join is hack smarter, not harder. So let me just get this raid set up and we will go raid him. So come join the raid. Hack smarter, not harder is going to be our raid phrase. For the rest of you not joining the raid, hey, thank you for hanging out. I will see you guys likely tomorrow.